Hello, magical people. Welcome back to the As Above, So Below show here on the Beyond Mystic YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. My name is Meg Moonbeam, and I'm here with my usual co-host, ASHALA. Hello, ASHALA.
Hi, Meg.
Love your outfit today. I always love your outfits and your look, but today it's very nice.
Oh, it's cold. It's cold out here on the West Coast today, so I got my furry stuff on.
Yeah, Jens and I just landed in Canada last night, and it is cold. Damn, we've just come into that Canadian cold, so it's good to be home. And as you guys can see, we have a very special guest here this evening. We've got some male energy in the house. Jens is here. Hello, Jensie.
Hi everybody.
Are you feeling the jet lag?
Yeah, still like my brain is still thinking that it's like mid 1 o'clock at night right now. So yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who may not know, Jens and I are married and we're both jet lagged. So we just flew from Belgium to Canada. So as above, so below, we're going with the flow in today's show. Hello, Murdoch. Nice to see you. And hello, White Buffalo Woman. Thank you all so much for joining us. Going to be a very interesting show. We're going to talk about some of the current energies, things that we're feeling, the new moon in Aquarius that we have this week as well, and see how you guys are doing in the chat. Before we get into it, you guys, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. And also, you can check out all of us offer one-on-one readings or consultations on consultations.beyondmystic.net. So you can go check that out in the link in the description box below. ASHALA, how have the readings been going? Are you noticing any themes going on?
There's a lot of conversation about money right now. About crypto is hot topic. Lots of speculations on XRP and the changing, fluctuating or rising prices of precious metals and so on. So there seems to be some enthusiasm, let's just say, in having conversations and sharing strategies, and yeah, it feels good.
Nice. Awesome. Very cool. And also, you guys, go check out our lovely and magical Carla at ascensionorganites.com. Has a Valentine's Day silver jewelry sale available from now until February 15th. The biggest jewelry sale of the year, everything 20% off. So go check that out at ascensionorganites.com. It's Valentine's Day coming up. I didn't even think about that. Oh my goodness. Has anybody else not thought about that, or is that just me?
I think you're not the only one. Let's put it that way. I think you're not the only one. It seems to be every year. It's always, I get to February and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Valentine's Day. Even though I know we go out into the shops and, as soon as Christmas is over, Valentine's Day stuff is up. But it's almost like you just get so used to that, you don't even notice that it's the date coming up. So,
and I wonder, do either of you know like the origin of Valentine's Day? I don't. I'm curious if either of you guys know.
I feel like I did research this many, many years ago, and it's just not on the top of my consciousness at the moment. So it'd be lovely if people put some things in the chats about that.
Yeah, let us know, you guys. I know I've heard about it before, but I completely forget. And it kind of makes me feel right off the bat around how the show that we do, Jensie, for your information, ASHALA and I like to bring the astrological happenings below and we kind of dissect them. We talk about also current events and things that we're feeling, being in alignment with the natural energies. And from my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, but I think Valentine's Day is just kind of one of those made up generic holidays, or am I wrong about that?
Well, interesting. Oh, people are saying pull cards on it. Maybe I should. So, and very interesting, right? I'm curious about what is the usual configuration astrologically that happens this time of year every year. That's what I'd like to know while I'm pulling cards on this.
For sure. Well, it's always Aquarius season, Sun in Aquarius season, which is not necessarily about love. It's more about friendships and groups and teams and associations in the future. So that's interesting.
That is interesting. And what about, so when we have new moon?
New moon would be in Aquarius. Leo, which does have to do with kind of romance.
It does. So maybe traditionally it was around the full moon in
Right.
Leo every year. That's what I'm kind of having a feeling about. It might have been,
Mm-hmm.
whoa.
Whoa.
Oh, interesting. So there something could have been directly sort of harnessed at this time of year. And I'd be curious to know more about the history because it looks like it was harnessed into more of a nefarious focus.
Interesting.
But this is a very sort of light, sweet energy, the Three of Wands. It's a lot about like exploring and just stepping a little bit out of your comfort zone. Yeah, I feel like this has to do with the courage of sort of opening our hearts a bit, trusting, because this is like a closed, emotionally closed down, not trusting. But this card is a lot about like sort of stepping out into having a bit more courage. Maybe like this would be, if you were talking about romance and romantic relationships and intimacy and so on, this would be like having the courage to step forward and, maybe if you're somewhere meeting or introducing yourself to someone or taking that risk to move out of your comfort zone. But then maybe there were some superstitions associated with this because it's almost like that full moon in Leo would be the time where we would naturally open our hearts more. And it was chosen as a time to be suspicious with the heart or something. I don't know. I'd like to know more about the history, but it looks like they meaning, the Dark Forest Cabal, tried to sort of hijack that full moon in Leo energy, and they turned it into something. Yeah, that's what I'm getting so far.
That's interesting. So yeah, forgive us, you guys, because we don't know the whole exact history, but we do have a comment here from Frida P. She says, Lupercalia, I might be pronouncing that wrong, is an ancient Roman holiday of the wolf mother. So it's looking like the origins are actually a ancient pagan festival to bring couples together. So that wouldn't surprise me. There's many different kind of pagan annual festivals depending on the culture, but interesting that the kind of Western society, maybe it hijacked that, like you were saying, Ashala, or might be from something else. So let us know in the comments if anybody is more knowledgeable.
Another one here is Capricorn. The devil could be Capricorn energy.
Right.
So like coming to the end of Capricorn season, moving from that into, in a way, it's sort of like if you think of Aquarian, more like brotherly, sisterly love.
Yeah.
But then the full moon in Leo as well, that happens at some point in February. So I think we've got a few things going on, but it feels to me like it has to do with us sort of opening and trusting and maybe letting our guard down a little bit and stepping out of our comfort zone a little bit.
Well, I love that we're starting with this, and I wasn't expecting that we were going to start with this Valentine's Day love subject, because this year around Valentine's Day is very, very special in particular, because we're going to talk about how we have new moon Aquarius. Thank you so much for that, Rita Shala. We're going to talk about this new moon that we have tomorrow on Wednesday, but later this week, we're going to have exact Venus-Neptune conjunction. Venus, the planet and the goddess of love, in her exalted placement of Pisces. We've got Jens is a Pisces rising, so he knows all about the Pisces energy, can speak on that for us. And Neptune at home in Pisces in conjunct the North Node. So I've been saying for weeks, you guys, the whole first 2 weeks of February, which includes Valentine's Day, I think a lot of people are going to be meeting soulmates, twin flames, very deep connections in love. And maybe this is something that we can speak on, because this is just going to be happening naturally for a lot of people. I guess this is a very loaded question, but what spiritual advice would you give to someone that is ready to open up to not just a love partner, not just a boyfriend, girlfriend, but a soulmate relationship, someone who they are spiritually connected to, that maybe is on the same page, consciousness wise. What kind of, Yenzi, we'll start with you. What kind of advice would you give? Or from personal experience, how did that go for you?
Well, the one thing I know is that, we manifest relationships based on our own, where we are at in life and our own, inner work we've done. So, for me, the best relationship, which is you, I have to say it like it is, manifested only after I've done a lot of inner work, and a lot of healing on myself. And I've had relationships in the past which were more like, I would consider, they were very valuable at the time, and I don't regret any one of them. But some of those relationships were really learning phase relationships, where where you trigger each other like a lot. Well, triggering always happens to some level in a relationship, especially when you're living together. But really those relationships where a lot of stuff happens that don't last that long. I think everybody had that in their lives. We wouldn't call them like real soulmate relationships or what you're referring to, and sometimes these need to happen. But I think when you're really ready for that soulmate relationship, I mean, we sometimes our ego wants to be ready, but sometimes we're not ready. But I would say to make yourself ready is to really do your inner work and clean up your own house, the house of your emotions, I would say. Do your inner work, and the more you do it, the more likely you will be able to manifest that, that relationship that really, where you meet your soulmate, where there's like more compatibility, less triggering, and stuff like that. So I would say, it's an inner work to get the outer manifestation that you want. That would be my advice.
That is very good advice. And ASHALA, what do you feel?
Well, I love that advice, and it's interesting. I talk to lots of women in my age category that are maybe single again after, either divorcing or losing a partner, or they're happily long time married, either or. And in both cases, I hear a lot of maybe dissatisfaction with what's on offer. Either in the relationship where things have, the women are really ready to sort of expand and explore and are on a conscious personal development path, and maybe their partners are a little behind, or women that have been single for a while and are struggling to choose whether they should maybe like settle for a relationship that's on offer or hold out for something that's more in alignment with their personal work. But I have noticed that like a lot of women that I've spoken to, when they actually did meet that person, they had just before that done a lot of personal development, like almost like they gave up.
Right.
Or if they were in a relationship and they, were feeling very discouraged, sometimes even talking about, I'm going to leave. And then a lot of times the wisdom that comes through the cards is, well, if you're willing to leave, why not stay and change and then see what happens, right? Like, so same, I think, with if you're willing to like settle for anybody or whatever's on offer, why not try to do one more big round of self-development work and see what shifts.
Yeah, sure. I absolutely love that. Thank you so much for that. And DigiBean, I love your comment. DigiBean says, go inside to see outside. That makes me think of that Beatles song, without going out of my door, go within you or without you or whatever it's called. It's so true. And that's very Piscean, right? Pisces is to go inside, isolation, solitude, spiritual work, right? Like Jens was talking about, doing the meditation, doing the work. So DigiBean, absolutely love that. And Worldsley now says, never settle for less. And that's something I kind of wanted to speak on just from an astrological point of view is, yes, Pisces is one of those, well, it is the sign that rules dreaminess, dreamers, romance, one of the signs that can rule romance. But Pisces in its shadow is also confusion and illusion. So it's interesting because there are a lot of people during, and I'm going to say in particular, the first week and a half of February, but also going into around the Valentine's Day period, Where a lot of single people, if you're open to it and you're kind of doing that self-work to attract the right partner, there can be beautiful connections that come through or insights about future people that are going to come forward. But there can also be past life people coming up that it can be confusing. You may think that someone's the soulmate, but it might just be something coming up to be resolved, right? And I would just give the spiritual advice from my own personal experience that as much as you may like somebody or be attracted to someone, if it does not make sense, and I'll kind of give an example of that, it might be a past life thing, or it might be a shadow side behavior acting out. I'm seeing both of you nodding there. And I'll just give a little example. I was with someone for a while where the relationship just did not make any sense. We had no things in common whatsoever. There were a lot of red flags. There was a lot of funny business going on, but I just felt so energetically connected that, oh, this person must be my soulmate because I have such a strong pull towards them, even though he doesn't really like me. He doesn't even want to have sex with me. I'm a Scorpio, so I'll just say it. Even though there's all these things that don't make any sense, that's kind of a sign that maybe it's something past life that needs to be resolved, that you need to work through, or maybe it's, in my case, it was, my own shadow side, things that needed to be worked through in that regard. Anything that you want to speak on with that, ASHALA or Jens? Yeah, ASHALA, we'll start with you.
Well, yeah. In the work that I do with the cards and sort of coaching and counseling, we call this like a karmic relationship, and or a trauma bond relationship. And it's basically where it's so strong, the attraction or the connection is so undeniably strong,
Right.
and people automatically say, oh, well, if it's that strong, it's obviously the one, right? It's like, how can I walk away from this? It's so like obvious that there's something huge. But, the real clarifier is that it often has so many things going against it and does not make sense, as you're saying. And so you are, in that case, looking at a past life connection and or a karmic relationship trauma bond, possibly. And they're about growth. They're about learning. Like you go on it's not about run for your life unless you're dealing with an abuser or a narcissist or something, but those relationships are about growth. And, in most cases, you go in, it's like what, the season, the reason, or the lifetime. Well, there's usually a reason.
Right.
And you go in and you do that work together, and it often propels you or prepares you for your next evolutionary step.
Love that. And I'd like to ask you to pull some cards on the subject, but before we do, anything you want to add, Jens?
No, I totally agree with what ASHALA said. And I think, it's very difficult when you're young to make the distinction, especially when you're young, like when you're a teenager, because the same energy is at play no matter what age we have, right? So if you're like a teenager in your 20s, it's very hard to make the distinction between, a true love relationship or like the karmic, trauma relationship, what ASHALA just said. And I think you can only like learn it with age, with life experience. Because when you're young, you just go in blind and you're in love, and there's just no way everybody can tell you, don't go with this guy, or it's red flags everywhere, but you're not listening. And I think as a youthful person, it's something we all have to go through, because it only comes with age, in my opinion, to be able to make, unless you're a very, very, young person that is very, very advanced for his age, it's very hard to not do it. So I think for most of us, experience that comes with age, that wisdom and that experience.
Yes, that is so true. And also such a good point that you brought up as well. If people around you that love you, your family, your best friends, giving you that feedback, like, this is kind of weird, what are you doing? That's very important to listen to that, for sure. Even if you don't agree with your family, friends on everything, if the people that love you the most and have known you the longest are telling you that something may not seem right, important to listen to that. So how should we frame this, ASHALA? A reading, should we do for all of us in our love lives, or people who are wanting to attract a partner at this time?
I think we'll just do for all of us and see what is ready to be looked at collectively around love and relationships. I
Yeah.
just think this is so beautiful and timely. And, it reminds me we've been doing all this work. I feel like this show could be called Without and Within, above and below and outside and inside, right? We've been doing all this looking in the last couple of months with what's happening on the global stage and in politics and so on. And it's like, it does feel important to have some time to do that inner focus and looking at the heart of relationships and love and intimacy is such a big sort of important piece to draw our attention back into our personal lives and into our hearts and our inner work. So I think it's really timely that this is coming just post-election and all that external focus.
Right.
So yeah, let's have a look here.
Okay.
What's being shown? Oh, wow. Okay.
Ooh.
So yeah, we've got the lovers. Oh my gosh. 3 major arcana cards in a row. So, even a little bit of a feeling here of this has been, the major cards are major, like they're sort of signified by large, long-term things unfolding. It's not just like something that happens today or this week. It's like something that's been in process for a while. And, when I see the 7 with the Chariot, it could be the last 7 years. A lot of that we had to kind of get through something, right? I mean, hey, guess what? I wonder what we had to get through in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
So we all had to armor up a little bit and kind of just get through, and it was very polarizing. And now let's just speculate a little bit. Maybe the next 5 or 6 years are going to be a lot more about returning to like our innocence, our naturalness. You see, they're the opposite of being all armored up. These lovers are literally sky clad, and there's this opening to connecting through the heart, through connecting in relationship, and we could be seeing a real turn of the trend towards relationship building, all types of relationship, and vulnerability and heart connection. And then the power of choice, because the lovers is about choice. So the power of choice coming back in, like we had to just kind of close everything down and stay really sort of on track for the last 7 years. But I feel like there's going to be a lot of expansion and opening up in the next, say, 5 or 6 years. And then the Magician is inviting us to gather new skills, especially around communication. So we could all be ready to learn some new communication skills, new ways of speaking about our feelings and relationships. I always love to turn people towards that practice of nonviolent communication because it's so easy to learn and it's just so tried and true. It's been around for a really long time. So yeah, this is really lovely, and it's bigger than this week or this month. This is the larger sort of picture here.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. That is so powerful that, as you said, 3 major arcana cards. So cool. Jens, anything you want to add to that before we go on?
No, not really. I totally resonate with it.
Nice. So cool. And speaking of doing the inner work, Jens has just released this new Christ consciousness meditation on the Beyond Mystic Academy that is available, connecting with the consciousness of love. And if you haven't listened to Jens do his guided meditations, also he puts together the tracks with the audio and everything. They are very, very special. You can obviously hear he has a very relaxing voice and does such a good job with these meditations. There's amazing comments all the time. Do you want to speak a little bit about this new offering that you have, Jens?
Yeah, it's like my other the other meditation I already have on Beyond Mystic, like the morning meditation. It's it's designed to be used again and again It's not like a one-trick pony where you just do it once and then you let it go. It's meant to be, incorporated in your like daily, like weekly spiritual practice. Not that you have to do this one every day, but maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks or 2 times a week or more, whatever you feel good. And it's designed to to bring you in a higher vibration, because the Christ consciousness, it's an energy that we all can access. And with these, in the times now on earth, with these rising vibrations on earth, it becomes easier and easier for us to access this Christ consciousness. This is one of the most highest forms of consciousness that is accessible to humanity. And when you ask, it will be given. When you ask for assistance, when you ask for help, it will be given. So in the meditation, we go through asking to connect with the Christ consciousness, and then you connect with it, and it really helps to to heighten your vibration and to smooth things out. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. Because it's like it's like a muscle you train. The more you focus on it, the more you train it, the better you will get at it, and the more you will build that strong connection with it. And especially in times like this, when there's so much happening on the world stage, and things are getting crazy. I mean, it's vital. I think it's vital that we have like a spiritual practice where we really regularly do meditations to keep our vibration in check, to keep our vibration high, to counter a little bit of all that negativity that they want to send on to us, because it's a game of frequency. And connecting with the Christ consciousness, for me, it brought a lot to me. And it really, and it's I'm going to be honest about this, it's not a miracle in the sense like, oh, I'm going to do my Christ conscious meditation, I'm going to be happy all day or something. No, it's something that complements our human condition. It's not like it's not escapism. It's really raising the vibration, adding to your your daily life just as a human being. That's for me, that's really important.
That's very well said. And for someone who's never heard the term Christ consciousness before, how would you, I know that's a very loaded question, but how would you describe that?
For me, the Christ consciousness, it's a consciousness of unconditional love. I'm not a religious person, so but I do believe that that there was a person, Jesus Christ, or whatever name, like some call him Joshua of Bethlehem, and stuff like that. But I do believe that that person, that historical figure, was like an avatar of that consciousness. He represented that consciousness. And the thing was, he was also a human being, because if you hear the stories about Jesus Christ, he was human. There's even stories where he became angry at the bankers, because he threw the bankers out of the temple. The bankers, like in our day, like the Federal Reserve and stuff like that. It's the same thing. And he was a human being. That's why I really love that Christ conscious meditation, because it's very human. It's very connected to humanity, in my opinion. It's the energy of unconditional love of the heart, but with that human quality at it. That's really important, I think. So that's why I personally like it so much.
Nice. And Jazana 1111 says, how long is the meditation?
It's about 20-25 minutes. I didn't want to make it too long. I think that's the exact length, not too long, not too short.
Nice. And there's a version with music and a version without music.
Yeah, because some people don't like the music. It's a 432 hertz music in the background, so it's a little bit better than the 440 hertz. But if you don't like background music, you can just use the version without the background music.
Okay, awesome. And just want to say, not just saying it because Jens is my husband, but you really do walk your talk. And Jens does meditation and healing work all the time and has done for years and years and years. And it really does show in what he has to offer for you guys. So you guys can go check out that new Christ Consciousness meditation at the Beyond Mystic Academy. Link is below. And I love what you just said there about connecting to the Christ consciousness helps us to connect to our humanity, because I wanted to bring up with you guys, talk about this new moon in Aquarius, which I'll dissect. But one of the things I wanted to bring up with you guys is how Aquarius rules, of course, technology. And we have been seeing ever since Pluto ingressed into Aquarius full on since November. And now this Aquarius season that we're in since the end of January, or mid to end of January, huge technological developments. In our last As Above, So Below show, Jens, ASHALA and I dissected the new Stargate business enterprise that's going on. And we're having so much happening technologically, we're advancing. And I wanted to talk a little bit with you both, and maybe Ashala, you could possibly do a reading for us if you'd like to, on how do we keep our humanity as we're entering the age of Aquarius, which is a light age. Okay, so no, we're not going into transhumanism. We're not in that timeline, us and our beautiful woo magical community. But, we're seeing it everywhere. Everyone has a smartphone now, right? We're doing this show on a computer right now. We're not actually physically with everyone right now.
Mhm.
We're in these physical, beautiful bodies, beautiful temples. We're operating physically. We're souls having a human experience, but we have technology so much in our lives now in a way that I don't know if humanity ever did before. Now, of course, humanity might be a lot older than we're told it is, but as from what we know, it's been amazing technological advancements. And okay, I'll ask you both first. What's your relationship with technology right now? Do you feel like you're addicted to anything technological? Do you feel like you're having challenge with anything technological? And what advice would you give to people as this is going to ramp up with AI coming out more, the option to live in virtual realities, maybe get microchipped, all this stuff? What are your thoughts? Ashala, we'll start with you.
Yeah, great question. Well, I have to say I've evolved it's very interesting, right? Like as Jan was speaking, I was like, okay, and now you're asking this. It's like, I wonder what Christ consciousness would say about this topic. And like, how do we approach this with unconditional love? And how do we bring, like, I feel like the heart of humanity, the value of our natural soul existence is the greatest technology and the greatest gift. So if we start from that premise and see so much incredible value there, then it's sort of like, to me, it's an add-on, but it doesn't replace that intrinsic value. And and in my own personal experience, I've always been so much of a low-tech individual. I never went on Facebook, and virtually, I think I joined Facebook in 2019, which was mostly for business stuff, and that never panned out anyway. So, and I don't look at it. I have a very old-fashioned phone, as you know, Meg. Trying to get a hold of me on my phone, I don't check my phone. I don't look at my phone. However, this format of being able to do live shows, and the first time I ever did an intuitive session virtually over Zoom, I was blown away at how much spiritual energy was. I actually felt there was an added essence of spirit, almost like a witnessing spirit that came because we were doing this with almost like the third thing being the technology. And I felt a spirituality in that's hard to describe. But I really listen with my heart, and it feels like there is an opportunity for us to weave a very conscious relationship with technology and have access to being able to connect in these ways. I'm also so incredibly aware that we need to go very, very slowly. And I'm really not open to the idea of, putting chips in our bodies and all that kind of stuff. Like that feels, I think about, we talked about not putting this in our bodies, right? And I think about, just inserting anything into any one of our bodies feels invasive and violent to me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it right now.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Jens, what are your feelings and thoughts?
Yeah, the same. I mean, I'm not against technology. I mean, I did computer science, and I've always liked technology as a kid. I was fascinated by it as a young boy. But I mean, for me, it's not the technology in itself that is bad. It's the people who are behind it, the consciousness that controls it. And there's like from AI, I'm sure there's good AI. There's very good uses of AI, and there's very bad uses of AI, like mass surveillance, like they do in China and stuff already. And also, I don't agree with putting chips in your body, because that's where it really becomes dangerous. If we're going to change our consciousness by putting chips in our brain, it opens you up for like infiltration. And I might share what I felt this morning, actually, because I was laying in bed and I was jet lagged. And when you're like trying to sleep, but your mind is quite calm because you're just laying in bed. And I was thinking about this AI for some reason, and I could feel like the energy that is, I could feel an energy that actually wants to, and this may sound, this is just my subjective what I felt an energy that wants to infiltrate humanity. And that energy was very metallic. It felt very metallic, very it felt like a void. It felt no emotions, that wanted to come, that wanted to like get into organic biological life through technology. And I think that is where the danger is, because it's not the technology in the sense that is bad, but it's what is driving it or what is behind it. So some of this stuff, like brain chips, I wouldn't recommend, because I think that energy that I felt, like it's like, it's hard. It's just an energy. It's very hard to describe it. It was so like so anti-life. It was like, if you have organic life on one hand, if you have a computer on the other hand, that consciousness was like totally computer like. It was like, but it wanted to take over like biological life forms. So I think if we really need to guard ourselves against that kind of thing, where it becomes really invasive, and it includes like nanotechnology and stuff. So we gotta really be aware and very discerning when we use technology, and what are we going to do with it. I mean, if I use ChatGPT to ask a question, for me personally, that's fine. That's AI, of course, but that's fine. But if you start, putting chips in your brain, you're going to change the condition of your human beingness, and others' energies can come in. And for me, that's not okay. So we got to really make a distinction there, in my opinion.
Yes, so true. And Ashala, could we maybe do a card reading on guidance around our relationship with technology moving forward?
Because what I'm hearing, Meg, too, is in association with this new moon in Aquarius, right? This is a good time to be considering this, because the new moon is that inner looking inward for, some perspective. And then, of course, as you're saying, Aquarius does rule technology. So out of the whole year, this is the one new moon where it would be good to talk about this and think about this a little bit. All right, let's see. So it is a balance. Now, interesting, there's a lot of energy. So I'm really noticing, do you see the difference, everybody, between this card is called Swiftness, and it's a lot of energy coming in this direction, like flying at you. And then this card is called basically on hold, or hold back, or wait. So we got everything moving really rapidly, and then wait. And then the character in the middle, the Temperance Angel, is a balance. So what I'm getting is, I think what we want to be observing is, what are we in a hurry for here? What is the rush? That's the question. I'm feeling almost like a ringing in my ears. They're saying, what is the rush? Like, what are we in a hurry for, to get to what? Right. Because I think if it's coming rushing at us, like we're trying to take a shortcut, and that always spells trouble. And I think yes, of course, we want to be conservative and cautious and really think about this and get spiritually into the ethics of everything. But I think even more than that, it's questioning, why would we want to rush this? Why? Because that tells you something about what's driving it. Just like what Jen said, what is this thing that wants us to hurry up and come on, make a choice? Are you going to get the chip? Are you going to do this? Are you going to get it? It's like, why? Like, we got the time, folks. We got eons of eternity. We don't have to decide right away. We can learn and explore very, like balanced, because this temperance is about working with blending the energies of technology and humanity centered in the heart. So that's where you're going to notice if it starts to feel like it's going too fast, and why is it moving that fast?
Mm.
Yeah.
Wow, that was very profound, I think, what you just said there, Shala, and such a good point. Like, it is that Eight of Wands where it's like, okay, Trump's second day of office, we're talking about AI, we're talking about Project Stargate. We talked about that a lot in last week's show. But what's the rush?
Mm-hmm.
Like
I'm
you
trying to
said,
get that
what
from.
the heck is the rush? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did get from the cards, if I'm remembering correctly, Shala, let me know if I'm not, but that from President Trump's end, it was more of him wanting to bring prosperity into the country, get the economy really going again. But then there was another group that wanted to use this situation to their advantage, right? And get this through in a big way. The AI, we're talking about Stargate.
Mm-hmm.
So discernment, as we were talking about last show, so important. And we don't need to rush anything. And I'm sure many of you guys experience, like I know Jens and I experienced, we had friends around us in particular that rushed into getting what's, because they thought, oh, I'll never be able to travel again, or I'll never be able to do this. But actually, if you just hangman, like me, Jens, I don't know about you, Shal, but we were like the hangman for a really long time there over in Belgium, just like, are we going to be banned for life from going to the restaurant? Or is this only going to be 6 months? Is this going to be,
Right?
we were like in the hangman, but then there were other people in
Mm-hmm.
that Eight of Wands, like, I have to do this now because I have to go on that vacation
Mm-hmm.
I have planned. Like,
Yeah.
what's the rush? Like you're saying.
Right. And now that I'm reviewing this, looking at all three of these, there's probably about half a dozen cards in the tarot out of 78 that are about timing. And these are three of them.
Wow.
So this is a question of time and timing. And I think there is excitement, there is hubris, this is exciting. However, like, let's slow down, because anything where we're like literally making these choices that could be on some level irreversible, certainly in these bodies that we have currently, right? And how are we going to take this into in between lives and into our karmic experience in the next lifetime? Like, so it's not about like saying no or holding back or going like, no, I'm afraid and I don't trust. It's about waiting to observe. You can almost feel with your heart, oh yeah, this feels like, somebody was just saying in the comment about, they did a Reiki practice over the internet. They could feel it was working. It worked on the other end. Beautiful, right? We have time to find, each of us is going to have a slightly different discernment with what works with us. And there is no rush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. That is such a cool pull with those cards there.
Yes.
Thank you. So yeah, to speak a little bit more with this new moon, of course, we talked a lot about the technological theme and implications, and we're seeing that in different ways. Jens, you brought up before we went live, there was something else that just got invented or brought out. What was that? Deep Seek or something?
Yeah, it totally fits with what Ashala is saying in her poll. Like, what's the rush? And actually, they're creating a rush, because it just came out that China has this new AI called DeepSeek, which is like, supposedly, that's what they're saying in the media, better than ChatGPT, which was like the flagship. And Nvidia stock went down like 15% because of that new launch of that Chinese AI, which is supposedly more energy efficient and all that stuff. And so they're already making it seem like there's a rush because China has the better AI, and now America needs to rush it and needs to. So they're making it into a rush, and I think we're being tricked here, because what these elite wants is, of course, this AI to go massively fast, that we like are caught in speed by it. By the control. So it completely fits with the card pool, because they want us to rush it. And that, I think that, American AI versus Chinese AI is a ploy to to get AI everywhere and to make it rush it even faster. So I think, and also when it comes in the media, like suddenly Nvidia stock went down 15%. It's all over the media that new AI is better and we need to rush. I think it's a ploy. I think it's another trick here that we're being played again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And aren't these names so interesting? Deep Seek, Stargate. Like there's even magic in the names, right? And we know that all these people do ritualistic things. They use astrology, they use tarot, and the names and the numerology behind the names and the intentional meanings. It's very, very interesting
It's
to say.
interesting, deep seek and deep state.
Right.
Yes, the DS. And they've even got the word all merged together with
Yeah,
2 capital letters in it.
so
Mhm.
true. Oh my goodness. So yeah, it's interesting because this is our first new moon in Aquarius that we've had with Pluto in Aquarius since the 1700s, since around the time of the American independence and the French Revolution. So there's a very big need that we have for freedom. And we can notice that in every area of life. And Pluto in Aquarius, in a light conjunction to this new moon, is highlighting the dark arts people and their intentions through technology. Aquarius is coming to light with this new moon as well. So I love what you are both talking about not needing to rush into anything and really take our time to discern and perceive what is being offered out. Very, very important. This is also, you guys, one of the best new moons of 2025 to be putting out your intentions, be doing some manifestation work, because the sign of Aquarius, yes, it rules technology, but it also rules our long-term goals and dreams. As well as the future and friends and the age of Aquarius and all those Aquarian things. It's our long-term goals and dreams. So it's a perfect new moon with amazing aspects, with Sun in trine to Jupiter, with Venus conjunct Neptune in the North Node, very magical and spiritual. Amazing time to put your intentions out there. So highly, highly recommend it. The exact time of the new moon, I have the Belgium chart, but the exact time of the new moon is going to be January 29th, tomorrow, from when we're filming this video on Wednesday at 7:35 a.m. Eastern time. So Yenzi and I will be jet lagged and we're going to be getting up early to do our new moon prayer. So, but anytime during the day on Wednesday, you guys, you can put your intentions out there, do some journaling, meditation, whatever you like to do. Also today and going into Thursday, Friday, Saturday are within the new moon portal as well. And I feel like also Aquarius, is friends, our connections, like-minded groups with this amazing Pisces conjunction of placements. It's like soulmate relationships coming into our lives, but also the ones that we already have being highlighted, right? Like being grateful for the people, for the groups, for the friends that you have in your life. Gratitude helps to manifest other things. That I really feel that, and I've noticed that in myself. There was times, Jens saw times years ago where I didn't have any money. I was like thinking I was such a loser with my moon in Capricorn. I was like in my Saturn return. But once I started to intention set coming from a place of, I am so grateful for, here's all the things I do have. Wow, I'm so grateful for that. Thank you, Spirit. And then going into, and here's what I'm envisioning, Aquarius. Here's what I'd like to call in. And here's the actions that I'm going to take to help manifest that. That's kind of how I like to work. So love this new moon, you guys. Definitely work with it and take advantage of it for long-term goal setting and intention setting around anything Aquarian related. Ashala, is there anything in particular you like to do around the new moon time?
Well, I like to just acknowledge with the new moon that it is always a time to set intentions, and it's a time to
Right,
set intentions about whatever that sign of the moon is.
right.
So sometimes I almost miss the, I'm like, oh, it's the new moon already. But even just taking a few minutes to tune in. I love to pull cards at the new moon because, especially around the topic of whatever that moon sign is about, right? And it's also a great time for me to launch something, like start a new beginning of something.
Yeah.
So when I'm getting ready to launch something new, I always check in and try to get it sort of started or setting up even a couple of days before the new moon is how I like to do it.
Love it. That's awesome. Would you like to pull some cards for us on this new moon? Is a collective? What's our significance?
Definitely. I love what you said about gratitude and about our friends, the friends that the soulmate type connections that we already have, or soul friend connections that we already have. And I think, like looking at that Chariot card at the beginning, where we've just sort of had our blinders on and our armor on, it isn't something that we've been spending a lot of time focusing on. Is either gratitude. I used to do a lot of gratitude practices. I had a nightly gratitude routine that I would do before going to bed every night, and I haven't done that for a while. So yeah, I feel like we could return to more of that. Oh, look, isn't that so lovely? The Knight of Cups is really, out of all the characters, he is the most leading with the heart. We used to say he has his heart on his sleeve. So he's coming forward, offering us that gift of friendship, soul connection, and gratitude. And interesting, this is a little nod to what we just saw with the Hanging Man. It's like, where there's an urgency right now. There's a promise. If we just go fast, we can have it all. But that is a false narrative, I believe. It's actually, slowing down to acknowledge what we already have. Yeah. Right? Like that forward focus, go, progress, part of the imbalance of it's beautiful. I mean, we love people that take action and get stuff done, but if you don't balance that with appreciating what you already have and caring for what you already have, there's something off about that. So yeah, take the time to count your blessings. Oh, interesting. So it's curious because we could have another wave of having to armor up again. And yeah, that's interesting. I have seen some potentially challenging things for later this year, and I feel like you've seen that as well, Meg, what we've spoken about in the astrology. So it could even be that we have a little window here of like pausing, caring for connection, for relationship, for leading with the heart and counting your blessings. And then there will come a time where we'll armor up again for a little bit.
Interesting. Wow. I love that pull and love the Knight of Cups coming through, charging through first with his heart open. Beautiful. Jens, any closing remarks? We're almost at the hour mark, you guys. Anything that you're feeling to share before we finish up?
Yeah, well, I'm just quite interested in what this year will bring, there's for sure there's going to be some shakeups again, as there are every year, and I think we just gotta try to be detached as possible, because they want us to be angry and this and that, and going back and forth with our emotions. But I think it's another year to practice a little bit of detachment from what's happening in the world, while remaining, vigilant, and while remaining, we can't completely, it's like we have to walk this fine balance line of being detached, but at the same time, not being too detached as like being lethargic about it, or being like, I'm gonna use the French word "je m'en fous." I don't care. So we got to walk that line of being involved in a way that we got to speak out and that we got to be aware. Then again, we have to be detached enough not to get sucked into the drama that they're gonna fire on us, that they fire on us each year. So that's like my thoughts on for 2025, and basically every year.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And before we finish up today's show, you guys, just want to remind everybody that tomorrow Janine and I are going to be hoping, wow, my jet lag is really coming in. I'm feeling it. I just got hit with a jet lag. Sorry. We're going to be hosting this Opening the Psychic Senses workshop on the Beyond Mystic Academy Level 1. We're so excited. Introduction to Unlocking Your Natural Psychic Abilities. So whether you want to open up your psychic senses just for yourself personally, or you want to maybe start to bring this into your professional sphere as well, this is open to everybody, applies to everyone, and currently on a 10% discount code until we start the workshop. It's going to be Wednesday, January 29th at 4 p.m. Eastern. Link is in the description box below. Going to be so great. And again, you guys go check out Jens's Christ Consciousness Meditation, new, available on the Beyond Mystic Academy as well. And if you'd like a personal reading with ASHALA, myself, or Jens, our consultations are available at consultations.beyondmystic.net. And thank you all so much for joining us on today's show. It's been so nice to have Jens here with us. Thank you so much, Jens.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely spirit and the male energy as well. It has been very great. So please remember, everyone, to like, share, and subscribe to the Beyond Mystic YouTube, Rumble, and X channels. And we will see you all next week for another As Above, So Below. Thank you. Have a happy new moon. Bye, everybody.